Okay, so welcome Jenny to this interview. So I know you got into LSE, which is very competitive, right? So what do you think made you really stand out? Like I think the admission what is the admission rate for LSE? Do you know? Like is it 5%, 10%?
I think it ranges from 6 to 8% from
Six to eight
2016
percent.
till now, with below
Okay.
10%. Yeah.
Interesting. So what made you stand out, you think?
I think it's mainly my personal statement. So keeping in mind that LSE doesn't have any interviews if you're applying, so that makes personal statement is really the key. And so try to demonstrate as much as you can in your personal statement. Make sure you're using every word to demonstrate your ability and your interest in the subject. And another thing that made me stand out is probably my grade. So I was predicted with a 44 out of 45 with
Mhm.
70 all my subjects. So even though you don't have to achieve 43 or plus, try to make sure that you at least meet a minimum requirement of the course to be able to be offered with a conditional offer.
Mhm.
And the other thing is to try to focus on your reference letter as well. Of course, that depends on your teacher, but what you can do is to just let your teacher know about what you're good at and what you're interested in. Communicate with your teacher. The more they know about you, the better it is. So make sure they know that what you want to be included in your reference letter. So try to show your strength to LSE.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
interesting. So you mentioned about your personal statement. So could you tell us more, like in detail, about like what in your personal statement really made a difference, you think?
I think the most important thing is to show your genuine interest. When I say genuine, it means that you can't just say something that, oh, I'm interested in, I've been fascinated about. You need to show your experience and your outside readings. It doesn't have to be a book. It can just be The Guardian, The Economist that you read throughout a period of time. So, for example, I linked my volunteering experience in Cambodia and my reading with in Joseph Stiglitz literature. So,
Hmm.
combine these two together and try to analyze it and show my own opinion. And also, I mentioned about my extended essay in my IB curriculum. So my topic was on the emission trading system, and I basically evaluated the efficiency of a policy with economics. So that is very close to the course that I applied for at LSE. So obviously that's like the highlight in my personal statement when it comes to LSE admission. And also, you should also include some activities that you do outside of school. So I mentioned about the seminars I attended at CUHK and the research projects I attended and also my volunteering work. So these things just show that you have the commitment to learn more about this subject area, and that also shows that you're very interested in this subject.
Okay, so you mentioned that you combine your Cambodian experience with some sort of economic literature, right? So could you
Yes.
briefly walk us through like how does that argument work? Like what do you write in that paragraph that you made?
So I basically focused on poverty and environmental degradation. So
Hmm.
I said about what I witnessed while I was in Cambodia and what I think it should work in the future. And then I also read about similar topics in one of Joseph Stiglitz's book talking about poverty. So I found some loopholes into the from the literature. So I basically took that point into the paragraph. I said, okay, this is what the literature said and this is what I think in Cambodia. I think
Hmm.
this matches this one, and this argument could work, but there are some
Oh,
limitations when it comes to
okay,
practical scenarios. So maybe this is the point that we should improve on, or this is a
interesting.
subject, or this is the point of view that I want to explore more in my university.
Okay, so basically you had like you talked about this economic theory about how to get people out of poverty, and then you say, oh, from my real world experience, this is what I think, right? So that is kind of what you did.
Yes.
Okay, that's very interesting. So you said also talk about did you do you think do you do any internship? Do you think internships are important in your personal statement?
It depends on how relevant they are. I did do an internship at an insurance company when I was in grade 10, but I didn't really include that. I put that in my UCAS application, but if I I've seen a lot of people put in internship, but if you think that the work that you've done is very relevant to the course that you're applying to, I definitely encourage you to put that in. But that's just not the case for me when I was applying.
So in terms of extracurriculars, what kind of extracurriculars did you include in your personal statement, and I should say like how do you write about them?
Okay, so for example, I talked about the CUHK seminar I attended. So it's about environment development and economics. So I talked about how that my interest in this subject, and then I basically talked about what I learned and what I think was interesting and what I want to explore in the future. So it was about Land for Tomorrow Vision. It's a land reclamation project in Hong Kong. And I also talked about the climate strike. Even though I didn't physically participate in the strike, I still organized it and I still told people about the importance of climate strike. And that's just show that I'm willing to take part in any activities outside school that's relevant to these subject areas.
Did you say climate strike? Climate strike? Was that what you said? Sorry, I kind of missed. Climate strike.
Yeah, that was led by a teenager from Switzerland.
Oh, like the Nobel Prize person, right?
Yeah, that person.
Okay, so you just show that you're very passionate about the environment. Basically, it sounds like.
Yeah, but you also need to balance it with economics because you're applying to both environment and economics. So you make sure that you mention both of them and how they link together. You try to link them. The link is very important.
So you look at the subject you're applying for, then look at the activities that relate, and then talk about what you learn to demonstrate your passion, things like that, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's very interesting. So now let's move on to talk about your reference letter. So can you walk us through how does the reference letter system work? And so in UCAS, you need to upload like your counselor is going to help you upload a reference letter, right?
Actually, I've never read my reference letter. You're not allowed to see it. It's written by one of your teachers.
Do you pick the teacher?
Yes.
Oh,
you basically pick the teacher that you think who knows you the best. So you don't just randomly choose a teacher that you like. You make sure, for example, if you're applying to economics or geography, you choose your econ or geography teacher to write your reference letter because they know you in terms of the subject.
Okay, so how does it work? Do you talk to your counselor? Like you talk to your counselor to tell them which teacher it is, right?
Yes, they have a form, and then you just write the name down and they will allocate.
When I was an IB student, I didn't even care about my reference letter. So how did you talk to your teacher about the reference letter? Can you walk us through because you basically told your teacher what to write, right? So how did that work?
Well, I didn't really say the point that I want to be written in that reference letter. So the most important thing you do is to try to answer as many questions as possible in class. So you want to demonstrate to your teacher that you are capable of doing well in this particular subject, and they know what your strengths are by listening to your answers. And then that's the first thing that you can do. And then for the second thing, you can just talk to your teacher about the activities that you've done. So for example, the outside school activities that I've done, the seminar, the strike, etc., they might not know because they're just teaching in my school. So you need to let them know that you've done these things. And you let them know that you've done some readings and your thoughts. So they know what you've done and they try to include them in the reference letter.
So do you send an email to your teacher and say oh, Mr. Teacher, can I have a meeting with you to talk about my reference letter? Is that how you went about it, or how do you go about that?
I kind of just talk to him after class every day.
So you say, can I talk to you about my reference letter, something like that?
No, you can, but for me it came quite natural. I just talked about, Mr. Blah, blah, I saw this article yesterday, or I read this book last week, or I went to this seminar, it was very interesting. So it just came really natural, and they will keep that in mind, I think.
Okay, so your teacher don't even know that you're trying to talk to him about the reference letter. You just kind of show your personality without talking about the reference letter.
No, I didn't, but I think you can.
Okay. So let's talk more about LSE. So because I think a lot of students, probably students watching this video, they they want to get into LSE, right? So do you think there are any unique traits that LSE looks for? Like what is, or in other words, what is the culture of LSE, do you think?
Well, LSE is very competitive. I think it's quite career driven. And as many of you might know, there are a lot of courses that are arts degree in other university are transforming to science degree at LSE. So they really pay attention to the understanding of the causes of things. And it's also one of the LSE's teaching model. So what you want to be is to try to be analytical. So besides sharing your interests and your experiences, show your critical skills. So for example, when I talked about my EE, I said about, oh, this is the theory that applies to my entire extended essay, and this is why it should work. However, based on the research that I've done and data that I found, it doesn't work because of this. And this result went against this certain theory. So I showed my critical thinking skill of why I don't think this theory should be applied to this environmental policy. So try to be analytical as possible. They don't want to see a book review. If you read a book, don't talk about the book too much. Just talk about what you think, right? Okay. And what made you think why this is the case.
Okay, so it sounds like LSE they look for people who are analytical, who are smart, and they are very career driven, right? That's the sort of impression I got. So how do you think life is like at LSE? Like, do you think it's like, what do you do on a day-to-day basis, I should say? How do you think LSE would compare to other universities in terms of the lifestyle aspect?
Well, first of all, LSE doesn't really have a campus. They just have some buildings standing in the middle of London. So that's the thing to keep in mind, whether you want to have a campus life or whether you are okay with this remote studying area. So I think the day-to-day life is quite interesting, I think, because it varies across many people.
Sorry, there, I have something coming in. Sorry. Don't worry. I will edit this part. Yeah. So yeah, you can continue. So let's go back to the answer. So we're talking about what is the lifestyle like at LSE. Yeah, you can continue your answer.
Okay. So as I said, LSE is in the middle of London, so there are a lot of opportunities that you can find in London. Go to free events. If there's a job there, go sign up for it. Meet your employers, and they will know you. So when you're going to your future job interview, they will know you, and they're more likely to give you an offer. And also, the network in London is just amazing. So try to reach out outside LSE. So LSE is close to KCL, it's close to UCL. So make some friends there, and then talk to them about what they've done and what seminar or what career fair they've attended. So I think network is really important when it comes to both university life and after the career life. So LSE is a perfect breeding land for career-driven people. So I think if you are interested in this area, you should definitely apply for LSE. Yeah.
So it sounds like, so what kind of extracurricular activities do you do? It sounds like it's all about like getting an internship, right? Would you say that's accurate?
Not really. No, internship is important, but it's not like the panacea for getting a good job in the future or doing well. Student society is very important. LSE have a lot of societies that you can join, ranging from sports, arts, and international relations.
Okay.
So I know the EpiPen society in LSE is very popular, and also I think that the best awarded society at LSE is actually the Down Society. So you can really meet people with a similar interest as you, even though they are not in your same course. You can still learn a lot from them. So the number of people you meet at LSE is a lot. So try to make most of that.
Okay, so what kind of so what year are you in right now? Year 2 or year second year? Second year, right?
I'm a fresher.
You're a fresher. Okay, so what? Just out of curiosity, like what internships have you? What extracurriculars have you done so far in the past year?
In the past year, because everything has changed in the past year because of the pandemic, so I couldn't really go to an internship in person. So I have this website. I think it's called Insight. I can share the link later. But it's basically a platform where you can apply for a virtual internship program. So you are not paid, and your not employed, you just get this virtual internship experience. So they have guidelines, they have a material that you can learn, and then they have a Dropbox for you to submit your work. And
Yeah,
once you've done
interesting.
that, you can credit that on your CV. So it's also a really great experience, and it's also a test on what you like or you don't. Because for my course in particular, I can either go to I can either do policy making, environment, or economics. So I don't know whether I want to do investment banking or do I want to focus more on green finance. So I
Okay.
basically sign up for the internship for both of them. So right now I'm just trying them out and see if I like them and see if they are right for me. So it's a great way to plan my future path.
Okay, interesting. So let's talk about like what. So you mentioned a lot of positive things about LSE, but what do you think you most dislike about LSE?
Think what I don't really like about LSE. Well, I think the first thing is definitely the construction work in LSE. I think every student will tell you that. It's still LSE doesn't have a campus and it's still building a lot of buildings, so you will see a lot of construction going on
Okay.
near LSE. And also talking about internship, I also don't really like the competitiveness. So before choosing uni, I kind of wanted a uni which has a great community and everyone help each other. That's like the best picture. However, knowing some students at LSE, I realize it's quite competitive, especially when it comes to internship application for some subject area. So there will be a lot of pressure from non-academic work. So I think students need to be ready for it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So overall, do you like university more or high school?
I definitely say I like university more. First of all, the people that I can meet is just amazing. You will meet people from a variety of background, and they have very different opinions. So instead of hearing from your classmate in Hong Kong or your teachers from the UK, you can get a wide range of opinions from all of the world. So you can see the world in very different perspectives. And then also a very important thing about university is that you only take the subjects that you're interested in, unlike high school. So make
Okay.
sure that when you're choosing a subject, make sure you see the course structure and you like them. So that's very important.
Okay, that's great to hear. So, just a final question. So, I remember. So, before you studied with us, like I remember in Geo, Econ, and some personal statement help. So, how do you think HKExcel have helped you in the application process?
I think the first thing is just to get a high predicted grade. So
Mm-hmm.
I had an amazing teacher at so she basically taught me geography HO, and I think she was very good at interpreting different questions and tried to get the strategies in answering some questions. So that's very important. I was originally six. My grade was supposed to be seven, and because
Okay.
it's my HO, getting a seven in HO is really important. And also, when it comes to application, it's also important to know about what to focus on. So I have teachers that provided me a lot of help on person statements. So they taught me how to arrange my structure. So when I first came, my structure was a whole mess. So they don't really correlate with each other. So structure and the content in my person statement has also been changed. So that's also very important in terms of my application.
Okay. I'm very very happy to hear that. Yeah, thanks a lot. You gave a lot of good insights. So, I hope to see you again soon. Okay.